Let's get through all this. Alright. Today I'm going to be doing something a little bit different. This is going to be a small tutorial of Mission 14 Lingua Franca in Metal Gear Solid 5. As you can see, I've played through it a couple of times because the GMP reward is garbage. Alright, what we're going to do here, this is specifically to get the final the final mission objective of listening to all 4 prisoner interrogations. Alright, our primary equipment doesn't matter too much, nor does secondary. For support, I am going to get sleep grenades for later on, and I'm going to get a capture cage and a bait bottle simply because I've heard that there's a chance for the leopard tortoise to spawn in one section of this level, and I'm actually really curious to see, because that one took me a long time to find in the standard spawn spot. For our items, we're going to bring stealth camo, night vision goggles, phantom cigar, tools, everything's maxed. And for Buddy, I bring Diamond Dog because I keep calling Diamond Dog she. I want to say Ocelot referred to Diamond Dog as a she in the preliminary discovery, although all in-game text says he. I don't think it matters too much for a dog, but oh well. Now we're going to commence this mission at 0600, and that's actually a bit important to this particular way that I'm going to get the completion. This was the last objective and achievement that I had for 100%ing the game, and I followed an IGN walkthrough for a lot of the other stuff that was giving me trouble, because it's a really good walkthrough. They know what they're talking about for the most part, but this one the walkthrough mentioned that there were all these glitches in it. I looked around on forums trying to figure out where I was going wrong, and it just degenerates into a whole bunch of hate speech where people are claiming that it's glitched, that it's broken, Konami needs to fix it, all this garbage. Now, I will admit, I got very hot under the collar with this one too. I've not had a game infuriate me so much since the first time I beat Baldur's Gate Dark Alliance. We're going to go ahead and brake heavy so we can catch our first conversation. You can get there faster if you use either the Cyborg Ninja or Raiden outfits. I choose the basic sneaking suit simply because of the tread dampening that drops your footstep sounds. This is going to be our first conversation. It's a real short one. There's our interpreter, and there's his buddy. And this is the first prisoner. Now, I will say this, there are some issues with this level, but I don't think it's glitched. I think it's simply understanding how many moving parts are going on and how they interact with each other, and how actually very delicate this final objective is. See, that right there, that was the entire conversation. Now, the first time I went for this, I did everything perfectly according to the walkthrough, but I didn't get the objective. And I think the reason is I waited for the guard and the prisoner to head up the hill, and when I did, I think I broke a sequence of events when I extracted this prisoner early. I'm going to go ahead and mark these two. Now, if you if you do extract this prisoner, I think it breaks the actual dialogue triggering when it comes to the third prisoner interrogation. Alright, we're going to go ahead and run this way. Where I mentioned the sensitivity and fragile nature of this particular mission, I mean that in that there's a lot going on in this level. I would be willing to bet that this is the most heavily scripted and nav meshed mission in the entire game, even though it's early on. The world space is massive. There are a lot of unique program commands for both the interpreter and his partner there, as well as the prisoners, as well as the Viscount. I actually had to look that up to make sure that's the proper pronunciation of Viscount, because somewhere in this level he is referred to as Viscount. I think it might actually be by one of the prisoners, which is kind of a issue with lore, considering Viscount is an English word and all these are British prisoners. Alright, where they start jogging here, this is an important spot, and you could almost mark it as right here where the texture changes, and I'll get more into that later on. There is an issue that can occur for when they start jogging there. If they are on the right hand side of the tire tracks as opposed to the left hand side, they won't go to the second prisoner. They'll come right here and they'll run up to this building. And you don't want that. If that happens, don't restart the checkpoint. Just go ahead and cancel out the mission, go back to the helicopter, go do another mission, side mission, whatnot, and that seems to re-roll the whatever it is that causes that issue. Alright, we're going to drop our stealth. I bring Diamond Dog with me so I can see exactly how many meters I am from each of the prisoners. I'll explain why that's important when we get there. But this is our second prisoner interrogation. This one you may be able to save, but I'm not going to try it because I don't know what that will do with the scripting of this level. The IGN walkthrough said do not save this prisoner, and I have a theory as to what will happen if we do. On one of my playthroughs of this, the Viscount, he never moved to the final interrogation building, which I'll actually go ahead and mark. Yeah. This building, A there, is where the Viscount is interrogated. Now, I completed all other things properly, except I did extract a couple guards that saw me before they could trigger the alert through reflex mode, and for whatever reason that did something to the Viscount scripting and caused him to just lay down in the middle of a field, and I couldn't proceed with the objective. So I'm actually a bit worried that will happen if we try to extract that prisoner. It may not be important, but I do follow these guys to the Jeep just to make sure that their scripted course follows properly. We can actually go ahead and mark the Jeep because they'll stick with this. Okay. Now that they're in the Jeep, we're going to run to our next objective. We're checkpoint, so if anything happens, so far we're 2 for 4. Unfortunately, in my previous attempt, I did it all right, and I extracted through the material containers there. Unfortunately, my capture broke, and I found out that the audio was almost entirely unusable because of how this game's audio options work. So I'm trying a different kind of setup. I'm actually using my GoPro as an audio recorder, and I'm just going to sync the audio together later. Now this is a heavy risk running through the camp like this. In the last attempt, the guards were suddenly triggered into an alert by something that I can't figure out, and the only thing that I can possibly think of was Diamond Dog bumped into somebody and it triggered their alert phase. The guards' alert phases are very, very touchy in this level, and I think that has to do with all the heavy scripting that I'd mentioned earlier. As you can see, that is our first prisoner here from down the road. That's our second prisoner, and this is this is our lady prisoner. They actually refer to her as the woman in the first conversation. All right, that was our second prisoner interrogation being killed, and we're going to get ready for our third. I'm just going to duck down here. I don't think they can see me on top of this ridge, but I don't want to risk it. I try to stay around 20 meters, give or take, to each of these interrogations to make sure I can hear it with my naked ears. See, there's some weird things that go on here with how the prisoners move. And I think that's more of the scripting, because see, now she's just dropped on the ground. Now she's going to get up. The animation is different for the prisoners in this level than a lot of others. It's not as clean. It's more of get in this position, then get in this position, then get in this position, instead of one fluid motion. And I think this particular mission might actually be reaching the upper limit of what amount of memory the devs were able to use for their scripting. That's just a theory. I can't prove it, but it does seem to make some sense. There's another issue with this particular interrogation where sometimes the guards, when they assassinate these two prisoners, they'll have a brain fart and call in an alert for finding two dead bodies. But once we get out of the area here for a little bit, we're going to use our Phantom Cigar to advance time. These two prisoners' bodies will disappear. In fact, if we stop right now and run back over the hill, then the second prisoner has already disappeared. For whatever reason, they cull bodies very quickly in this level. That's another thing that makes me think that we've got some memory issues going on. Alright, we've just about finished this up, and even though we don't need it for this particular objective, we're going to step inside our central hut there in a few minutes and get our intel file, because it'll see how the guards are kind of having issues here getting into place. They all just look really confused as to what's going on there, and I think it's just the guard scripting is taking a little bit of time to load into memory. I'm going to crawl under here and get this diamond, and I'm actually going to let the interpreter and his partner leave before I go in here and get what I need. This is actually really risky. I normally let them leave before I do this, so I'm hoping I don't break my own little guide here. We can look over here, and they still have not figured out what to do with the prisoners. Okay, the second guard has finally assumed the execution position. It's really weird. Now, there's no telling how long it'll take them to actually follow through with the execution. No, I want the intel. No. Snake, I know you love her. She's a cool dog and all. All right, we're going to go ahead and skip. Duck back down. Now here's the reason we brought the Phantom cigar and started at 6. The interpreter and his partner are now locked in a, you know what? There's our extraction. They're now locked. Okay, we finally got around to executing the prisoners. Let me actually go up the hill here. I'm gonna hop on here so I can explain what I was about to say. All right, these guys are now locked into a very specific course. They're going to walk along the road down to where that guard is. They're going to come back around to this little cabin. Then they're going to walk back up this way, come back up through here, come around. They're going to go back into the central building. Let me get out of here before my camo drops. Whoa. But they're going to go back into the central building and they'll stand there for a few minutes. And then they will rinse and repeat that same course, it seems like indefinitely. Now this is the one failing I think the devs had on this particular mission. The Viscount is over here. The intel file told us where he is. We can go get him right now. But we won't get the objective. The guards will not take the Viscount for interrogation at our A marker until after 1800. That's why we brought the Phantom cigar. And the interpreter and his buddy will continue walking that course along the road, rinse and repeat until after 1800. So we're going to skip ahead a little bit. Oh, stop. Okay. There we go. All right. I went a little further than I'd planned, but let me equip my stealth camo again. But if we pull up the map, the Viscount is right on top of our marker, and these guys have now reversed their counterclockwise rotation of this camp, and they're going back towards the Viscount clockwise. That's why I normally let them get about halfway before I bring out the cigar. And this is the one reason that Diamond Dog, although risky because she is unpredictable and can break dialogue, I've had issues where she's broke the dialogue conversations and forget the name, but it's the one where you have to listen to the arms dealer and the CFA major, I believe. But I bring Diamond Dog so I can stay more than 30 meters away from the Viscount's location. Because for whatever reason, I suppose if you want to think about it in terms of in-game lore, the Viscount knows that we are coming to rescue him since he called us. If you get within 30 meters of the Viscount, he will immediately lay down on the ground in the rescue position and will stay that way. You will be unable to listen to the conversation. I don't know why that is, but I suspect there might actually be 2 Viscount NPCs. And once our interpreter gets over here, I'll explain why I believe that. If we pull up the map, we can see that they are going to go the long way. They're not coming how we did. They're going to go back down. They're going to walk the road till they get right here where that little spot where we saw the road textures change. Then they're going to come back up. I think the reason that I had that issue where they were going up early before the second interrogation, I think it has to do with nav mesh overriding. I think that there's just a certain spot that they may step on wrong and it messes with the nav mesh physics. That may not be the case, but that makes sense to me. If you don't know, nav meshing is where the NPCs are instructed that they can walk. Every game's got it. And this level's got a lot of it. As well as scripted nav meshing. Scripting is where each NPC or even each object in the game is given a certain set of parameters that it must follow in certain circumstances. Kind of like Gambit's system from Final Fantasy XII, if you've ever played that. That's pretty much what every single NPC and object has to go through by the devs. They will pick up the pace here in just a minute. I'm going to keep talking, try to make it interesting. The reason I suspect that there are 2 Viscount NPCs, if Diamond Dog would actually detect the Viscount, this is an issue that I can't quite pin down why it happens. This may be a legitimate glitch. I was nowhere near that guard tower at all at any point, but Diamond Dog detected that enemy. The Viscount is right there. We see him on our mini-map. Diamond Dog cannot detect him. I believe for this mission and this mission alone that we have a double NPC. I think the Viscount in the field, the one that stays up and moves, if we were to go back to the little camp area down here where he normally stays and pick him up at any point, that's one NPC. But once he gets here, once he gets here and is waiting, I think in the split second where he goes to stand up for interrogation, that NPC is teleported out and a new one is teleported in for the conversation. Once again, I can't prove this. This is my own theory. It kind of holds water for what we're doing though, and it does make sense as to why if the alleged first Viscount lays down, you can't trigger the dialogue. I'm just trying to theorize and figure out the issues with this level without automatically saying, oh, it's glitched, the devs need to do a better job. You know what? This game, for all its faults, became one of my top 10 favorites within the first hour of playthrough. I've got some pretty high standards when it comes to what I expect in a game, and they did a damn good job. I'm not going to hate on any of the issues with this game. I'm going to try to understand them and use them to my advantage. That's what this guide is about. I'm trying to give a positive guide where you don't have to wade through all the muck of the forums, people angrily hating on this game. I'm just trying to explain some of these issues in a way that might help others understand and maybe even find optimized routes for how to do this level. Dang. I've got a lot of stuff I'm developing. I'm just working on development grade challenges. It may end up kicking out the actual subtitles of us getting the challenge, or excuse me, the objective, but we'll verify it in our iDroid. All right, see how he's moving now? I think that was the moment where the Viscount NPCs were swapped. Once again, I can't prove this. I'm not a data miner. I can't tear apart the game to prove it. I have no reason to suspect it other than his behavior does not match any NPC in this game. However, his behavior does match some of the weird NPC behaviors of different Fallout NPCs, and you can objectively prove that they are different, like Ulysses in New Vegas. There's a lot of trickery with teleporting multiple NPCs to make that DLC work, the Lonesome Road. That's why I suspect our Viscount is doing the same thing. Alright, full disclosure, my GoPro that I'm using for audio messed up, and it was out of space. But anyway, let's check here. Let's see. Yep, we got the objective. Now we're going to toss out the sleep grenades, and I'm going to really fall apart here at the very end of the video. I didn't get any of the grenades anywhere where I wanted originally, so I completely forgot to set the trap to look for the leopard tortoise and just get completely awful. I mean seriously, I just went completely to toss right here. But we're going to get the interpreter just so we can get that little objective. Under ideal circumstances, if you get the grenades positioned properly, you can just run in the back window there, get the Viscount, get everybody, and go. But I kind of got in a rush when the GoPro died. Wasn't concentrating on what I was doing. And it gets worse from here. We're going to run over to our material extraction point and really drop the ball. We could have had an A class if not for that goof up. But that's essentially how to get the entire 4 prisoner conversation objective. So I try to get around here to get a shot on his face. He gets a shot in on me. And I just about die here. Go to extract 1. Hop up here, and just the entire camp starts unloading on me. But I managed to get out. But that is how you make that objective look effortless and then just completely drop the ball right in front of the touchdown. That was rough to go back and rewatch. But like I said, I don't think the level's glitched. I think there's just way too many moving parts for its own good. I want to thank you guys for joining me, and I will see you next time. Goodbye.